Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Weird News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Sarah, and I, first of all, hope you had a fabulous Thanksgiving and a fabulous Thanksgiving weekend, whether that was a 4-day weekend or not. You know, hopefully it was good. Hopefully you had some time to relax. There's all kinds of things that go on. You know, there's Thanksgiving, and then there's Black Friday, and then there's Small Business Saturday, and is there something on Sunday? I'm not sure, besides it being Sunday and whatever you normally do on Sundays. And then there's Cyber Monday, and then today is Giving Tuesday. Whew, it's a lot. But whether you participated in all or none or somewhere in between of those events, holidays, shopping days, whatever, you know, I hope it was what you wanted it to be. And I hope that you didn't have any weird news stories on your Thanksgiving, or if I hope that you did end up having weird news stories on Thanksgiving. My husband loves to share weird news, or not weird news, but weird stories. And especially when he loves to find stories to tell my mother, which always makes me laugh. So we talk to both sets of our parents every weekend on Sundays, and he collects stories throughout the week to tell my mother. It just fascinates him. So he had plenty of stories to tell on Thanksgiving, but we just had a quiet Thanksgiving with some friends, but we didn't have anything weird that happened, I don't think. I'm trying to, nothing's coming to mind. So if you did have something weird happen, I hope it was okay. Actually, some friends of ours that joined us for Thanksgiving this year, my husband and I went to some friends, and then another couple joined us there at the first couple's house. And they were saying that it was the first time they'd had fried turkey, deep fried turkey, but the second time they had attempted to have deep fried turkey. So the first time they hadn't made it, but a friend of theirs had made it and was testing the temperature of the oil and dropped the thermometer into the hot oil, and it was a thermometer with mercury in it, so it exploded mercury all over the turkey. So it was a turkey. There's got to be a good mashup there, but there was no fried turkey for them that year. So this was actually their first time eating a deep fried turkey. And so, they had kind of a weird story, and I'm glad that our turkey came out of the fryer safe and sound and whole and well and not covered in mercury, because awkward. All right. Our first story sounds like it's from The Onion, and I have no idea if it's true or not, or if it's just really silly. I don't honestly care if it's true or not. If it's true, awesome. If it's not, whatever. I want it to be true. So, this is from duffelblog.com, and like I said, it might be true. It might just be kind of an Onion satirical article, but, Norad is tracking Satan for the holidays due to a typo. I'm sure you know that Santa and Satan have the same letters in them. You can rearrange them to make one word into the other. So, NORAD will be tracking Satan for the holidays after a typo on an internal operations order diverted the beloved Santa tracking program to describing the location of Lucifer, Prince of Evil, this year from December 24th to 25th. See, I don't care if it's true or not. I just think it's hilarious. It's the same letters, just out of order, said Lieutenant Colonel Chris Krangle. See, this is why I'm thinking it's not real, but commanding officer of the newly renamed Holiday Tracking Program. But honestly, I think the American public would also like to know where Satan is, given the option. Sorry, this is killing me. Also, we'd already designed the PowerPoint template to say Satan and not Santa, so we were too far on this course of action to fix it. Yeah, this has to be satire, but I love it anyway. Children and parents alike will be able to say, "Not today, Satan," by logging into the Norad website to see the horned devil cross the globe in his quest to sway good men into joining the children of disobedience. The North American Aerospace Defense Command will use factors such as brimstone's chemical signature, fur pattern analysis, and sulfur trails to input data to the jolly animated website of Satan crossing the North Pole to find good little boys and girls. Air Force intelligence officers have been targeting Satan for decades through interviews with a network of demon informers. This led one SEAL team to a late-night raid on a used car dealership near Fort Bragg, but not the king of bottomless pit, the king of the bottomless pit accuser himself. Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely satire. Still funny. This is disappointing news, said Major Rudolph Rain Man. NORAD's chaplain. The operations center had the ability to track Satan this whole time, but hasn't been sharing it with the chaplain's office. I could have just been telling our airmen where to go to avoid Satan. As it stands, I could only tell them to just say no to the great tempter. The NORAD Satan tracking website goes live on Christmas Eve. Don't expect a lot of movement, though, says Krangle. As it turns out, Satan's been a GS-13 at the Pentagon for a long time. Oh my goodness. Okay, that just made me laugh because I love the Santa tracker. You know, when you go on Google and you watch and you see where Santa is, and I think it's fun. I don't sit there and stare at it all Christmas Eve, but I like to pop over onto Google and see where Santa is. I almost said Satan. And the supposed PowerPoint that they already created is hilarious. It's a big red circle with fangs and funny ears and a Santa hat. I mean, it looks nothing like Satan, although I don't know what Satan actually looks like, but it looks nothing like the normal depictions of Satan. Let's go with that. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. Best typo ever. Even if it's not true. So it does say news, but clearly it's not real news, which makes me sad because a Satan tracker would be hilarious. Santa tracker is more fun though. I prefer to know where Santa is. It's just so I can say I know where Santa is. Okay, one more story before we have to take a break. And so I have a friend staying with me at the moment. She is in town doing some training, and she was just telling me yesterday or today, it doesn't matter, that they moved recently into a new house, and she kept yelling at her boys for leaving the hose on in the backyard. And they kept saying, "It's not us. We aren't leaving the hose on." And one day she let their St. Bernard out to, run around the backyard, and then watched as the St. Bernard went over and pawed the faucet on, so the hose came on, and then started drinking out of the hose. But apparently the dog who has taught herself to turn the hose on cannot yet turn it off. Well, this is a similar-ish story. It's about another dog who figured out how to turn something on. But so this was in Britain, and firefighters said that a kitchen fire was caused by a family dog that somehow turned on the microwave. And somehow, if you've got a tall enough dog who can reach the microwave and they just kind of up and paw it, I can see where it might get turned on. The Essex County Fire and Rescue Service said firefighters responded Monday afternoon to a small fire at a Stanford La Hope home. Firefighters discovered the fire had started in the kitchen when the owner's dog, a husky, that's a big enough dog, started the microwave, causing a package of bread rolls inside to burn and catch fire. Don't store your bread rolls in the microwave, people. The homeowner was not present at the time of the fire, but alerted authorities when he noticed the smoke on the security cameras connected to his phone app. Firefighters said the dog was not injured. Good news. Clearly, this is a very strange incident involving the man's dog, but it could still have been more serious, said Jeff Wheel, watch manager at Corringham Fire Station. When we arrived, the kitchen was filled with smoke. Firefighters ensured that the damage did not spread beyond the kitchen area. But it demonstrates that microwaves shouldn't be used to store food when they aren't in use, he said. Our advice is always to keep your microwave clean and free of clutter or food and any packaging. Animals or children can turn them on more easily than you might think. So please don't run the risk. So, kind of a weird news story with a bit of a PSA at the end. On that note, let's go ahead and take our first break of the podcast. When we come back, I've got some more, I love Guinness Records and the breaking of them. So we have some more of those to talk about. Stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Weird News Podcast, and I'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the GSMC Weird News Podcast. Before the break, I giggled way too much at the Satan Tracker, and we talked about the safety of not storing food in your microwave, especially if you have a dog or small children or, gremlins or something. And now we're going to move on to some Guinness Records because I love them, as you know. Well, I love the weirdness of them, the randomness of things that people do. And this is an article from yesterday, December 2nd, and it involves an Idaho man. Go Idaho, right next to the state there where I grew up. And an Idaho man appeared on TV to balance 15 chairs on his chin and recapture a Guinness World Record. David Rush, who has broken more than 100 Guinness World Records to promote STEM education, even better because he's doing it for, to promote STEM. That's great. So Rush traveled to Hendersonville, Tennessee to appear on TBN's Huckabee Show and recapture the record for most chairs balanced on chin. How big is the Guinness Book of World Records now? Because there's so many different records you can break. I mean, there's got to be thousands, if not millions. I don't even know. Rush previously held the record with 8 chairs, but his accomplishment was beaten by Ja Rawlings earlier this year on Britain's Got Talent. Rush balanced 15 chairs for the required 10 seconds, beating Rawlings' record of 11. Come on, dude, you could have just gone for 12. I guess if you go for 12 and somebody goes for 13, and you have to take it back, and maybe 15 will keep the record for you for a little longer this time. I don't know. I don't want to balance one chair on my chin, let alone 15. Wow, that's amazing. I really don't know what to say about balancing chairs on your chin. More records. Let's see. Colorado spin class. This is another record, and this Colorado spin class is nearing a record, so it hasn't been broken yet. Well, this was yesterday, so maybe it's been broken now. But a Colorado spin class was in the final hours Monday morning of an attempt to break the Guinness World Record for longest static cycling class. Again, see, there has to be millions of records. The 25 cyclists at Cycle Bar in Littleton started their attempt Sunday morning with an aim toward continuing their class for 28 hours, enough to beat the previous record of 26 hours. The record attempt is being live streamed on YouTube. I wonder if the 25 cyclists has anything to do with it. I mean, could you do it with 2 cyclists? Is that considered a class? Does it have to be a class? I don't know. Static cycling class. It does say static cycling class, but can 2 people be a class? Do you have to have a certain number? I don't know. Instructor Megan Hotman, also known as the cyclist lawyer, said the goal of the attempt is to break a Guinness record and raise awareness of cycling safety issues. See, I also like that so many attempts to break these records have some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? There's some sort of promotion or some sort of cause behind them. They're trying to raise awareness, or promote, as in the previous case, STEM education. This is trying to raise awareness. I appreciate that, because if other people are strangely fascinated by Guinness records like I am, then they're going to check these things out, and then maybe they will learn something new about STEM or cycling awareness or something else like that, cycling safety. Bikes make us happier, healthier people and improve the communities we live in, Hotman told KUSA TV. If cycling were safer and if more people felt they could transport themselves by bike or exercise by bike safely, it could change our entire society. I get that, because they're both from a driving and a biking perspective. It's kind of scary sometimes. Lots of cities have bike lanes. I don't know how safe I would feel, especially because sometimes there's a bike lane and sometimes there's not, and sometimes you're just kind of riding with traffic. I don't know how comfortable I would feel about that. And as a driver, I try to be really cautious about bikers that I see, but you don't always see them. And some bikers are very conscientious, and, well, you can kind of tell the difference between bikers who are cyclists, let's say, as opposed to bikers who just, have a bike and they don't wear a helmet. They just randomly drift through lanes. There's kind of a different level of biking, of cyclists and bikers, and probably the same thing with different levels of drivers. But you need to keep an eye out for bikes and motorcycles and all of those good things, pedestrians, just everything. So, be safe. That's what I have to say. Be safe. So there we have some Guinness Records. Guinness Records, broken and attempted to be broken. I recently had a weird news story about a wedding ring that was found via social media, and a fish. The fish didn't actually find the ring, but the fish attracted the attention, and then the people found the ring. I have two stories involving lost rings that were then found. The first involves a class ring that was found. It was lost at a Florida beach. Again, Florida, but hey, not something kind of crazy person-related Florida. A class ring was lost during a 1970 day at a Florida beach, and it turned up buried in the sand a few miles down the shore nearly 50 years later. Kenneth Board said he lost his Auburndale High School ring at Cocoa Beach the day after his senior prom, and it wasn't until he arrived at his mother's home in Winter Haven that he realized it was missing. It felt weird because I didn't have it and just knew it was gone, he told the Ledger newspaper. I knew there was no way you'd find it at the time because we had gotten home before I realized that it was lost when we looked in the blanket. Board said he bought a replacement in 1971, but ended up losing that one too. My goodness, dude. Maybe wear it on a chain around your neck. Jerry Pope said he was using his metal detector 2 weeks ago on Melbourne Beach, about 20 miles down the shoreline from Cocoa Beach, when he found the class ring buried in the sand. Pope's friend Corinne Lee posted photos of the ring on Facebook. I see, Facebook is finding rings again. And Jake White, Auburndale High School's testing coordinator, saw the post and decided to do some digging for himself. White matched the initials engraved on the ring to Board and contacted Leah with the tip. Board and Pope are now making plans to get together to return the ring to its original owner. I'll have to look at it and see what shape it's in and see if it fits my fingers and whether I wear it some or just put it in a safe place, Board said. Put it in a safe place, dude. You keep losing them. Don't lose it again. You want to keep this one. It's got a good story. Another ring, this one was not lost for 50 years. It was lost while skiing in 1992, and it didn't show up just 20 miles away. It showed up 2,000 miles away. How crazy is that? This time, an Oregon woman lost her wedding ring during a 1992 ski trip, but she has got it back, and it turned up more than 2,000 miles away in Alabama, all the way across the country. Melissa DeLamaire of Portland said she and her husband, Jim Gibson, had only been married a few months when she lost the wedding ring while skiing on Mount Bachelor in Bend, Oregon. DeLamaire said the ring was especially precious because it had originally belonged to her mother-in-law. Oh, she must have been devastated. We lost something that meant something to the family, not from a monetary value point of view, Gibson told KGW-TV. Heather Langley, a jewelry maker in Bessemer, Alabama, said a customer told her last summer about a ring he had found while working at Mount Bachelor in the early 1990s. Langley used information from the customer and clues, including first names engraved inside the band, to locate and contact DeLamaire. The jeweler visited Portland to hand over the ring in person. DeLamaire said the ring still fits on her finger. She said she and Langley have become friends and are planning to get together next year when they are both visiting the East Coast. That is super cool that somebody did that much research to find out who the ring belonged to. See, there are good people in the world, and I appreciate stories that remind me of that. So, 2 lost rings returned to their owners many, many, many years after they were lost, and very cool. Let's go ahead and take our second break of the podcast. When we come back, a couple more weird news stories, and then we'll be wrapping things up. So stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Weird News Podcast, and I'll be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello and welcome back to the GSMC Weird News Podcast. Our next story is about not snakes on a plane, but in this case, a horse on a plane. Or maybe not. So there is a website called passengershaming.com. Maybe it's an Instagram account. And, man, there's so many shaming sites. Maybe we should stop shaming people. I went from a feel-good story about somebody doing research to reunite a woman with her lost wedding ring, and now I'm grumping about, shaming. But at any rate, there is an Instagram account called, an Instagram page called Passenger Shaming Instagram, and, the note on the post says, note, this is a legitimate, highly trained service animal used for the blind, etc. It is not an emotional support animal. They aren't one in the same, just an FYI. Okay, I don't know how they know that for sure, but maybe they had a better look at the animal, or I don't know. There are some questions as to whether this is even true. And okay, it's a little mini horse. It's a mini horse on a plane. This post racked up more than 800 comments, and of course there were divided opinions, but some people question whether the image is genuine. There are other pictures of mini horses being used as either emotional support animals or service animals, so it's not unheard of. I don't know. It's many animals seem like an odd choice. A mini horse would not be an odd choice in many circumstances, but on a plane where there's just so crowded that I would feel bad for the horse being kind of crammed in among knees and everything. I don't know. So some people were upset that that this whole thing has gotten out of hand, that it's gone beyond dogs and cats. One person said, I'll be damned if I'm going to pay the prices they're now charging to fly only to be sitting next to a freaking pony. Mind you, I love horses, but enough is enough. It's so grumpy. I mean, I guess, if you're allergic to horses, that would be a bad thing. My mother is terribly allergic to horses. Another said, if you need to have a miniature horse by your side in order to fly on a commercial airline, perhaps another mode of travel will better suit you. Not to mention the rest of the community of people your needs impact. That I don't know how kind or even empathetic that is, but so there is skepticism over whether this photo is real or not, but one user pointed out that in 2019 American aircraft guidelines changed to allow passengers to take designated service animals on board, so it is allowed. Then there are other pictures in the article of another horse being used as a service animal, and it does have the specific service animal vest on it, so you can tell. But whether or not this particular mini horse, real or not, or faked or not, whatever. So people had concerns about, what if there's an emergency? Is the mini horse going to impede other people getting off the plane in an emergency? I don't know. And a second said, I get it if it's a service animal, but where do they go potty? Actually, that's a legitimate concern. I often wonder. I mean, I know I've seen him in where was I? Somewhere in the South recently. I can't think of where I was at the airport. Charleston, maybe? Anyway, they had this little area with fake turf and a tiny little fire hydrant for doggies to go potty in the airport. Otherwise, I don't really know. I know they make diapers for dogs. My dogs would not wear them. And it wouldn't help because my dog would probably throw up and then pee and then, yeah, my husband calls it the 4 points of light. The bodily functions, the throwing up, the pooping, the peeing, and the tooting. So, needless to say, we don't fly with one of our dogs, or either of our dogs, really. But anyway, where does the horse go to the bathroom? Not just potty, but the other end as well. Where do all service animals go to the bathroom? Another replied, so we can't eat nuts on a plane in case of allergies, but we can take ponies on. That's also legitimate. I mean, definitely horse allergies. Then, of course, there were others who were far more positive, as this always happens. There's all ranges on the spectrum, all points on the spectrum. One person said, I would pay extra to sit next to a well-behaved, clean service animal on a plane rather than a human. That's an introvert if I've ever heard of one. Another person wrote, service animals are highly trained and have better manners than most humans. And another one said, it would make my day if I encountered a miniature horse on my flight. So, yeah, people are going to be grumpy. They're going to be weirded out. They're going to be all kinds. Babies on planes freak people out, or people either love to sit next to babies or they hate to sit next to babies. So I can only imagine how polarizing a miniature horse would be. Our final story is about a father whose attempt to discipline his daughter kind of backfired in a way that maybe he wasn't expecting. So this involves a dad and his 15-year-old daughter. And you ever see, I'm sure you've seen lots of social media posts with parents kind of trolling their kids, recreating their Instagram or their Twitter pictures or what have you, and often with hilarious results. So this dad, he's the father of 15-year-old Madeline, and she was caught helping sneak boys into a sleepover party. So her parents decided that action needed to be taken, some disciplinary action needed to be taken. Tanya Ford and Larry Sumter let their daughter decide her own fate. 1 month without a phone, or a reduced sentence of 2 weeks without a phone, but her parents would be given the freedom of her social media. Okay. Picking the latter, probably couldn't even fathom 2 weeks or an entire month without her phone. The high school student from Texas has seen her dad post selfies on Instagram with the caption, "Felt cute, might delete later," and dance on TikTok wearing a crop top and jean shorts, leaving her begging to change her choice if for no other reason than without her phone, she won't be able to see her father doing this. But it's not all bad news for Madeline, who has seen her social media accounts surge in popularity with fans desperate to keep up with Larry's antics. Larry is not only wearing a crop top in his dance, but a wig. And he's got some scruff and, yeah, a little bit of goatee happening. The wig's not a bad look. But, yeah, he's also wearing a very tight, small t-shirt. Her likes have actually now more than doubled on Instagram. I wonder how that would be. I can't imagine my dad doing this, but I don't know how I would feel if suddenly my dad was more popular than I am. It wouldn't take much to be more popular than I am on Instagram. I don't post much as myself. So the mom said that after the first day, Madeline was like, I changed my mind. I choose the 1 month. Larry told her, nope, I'm too invested. I have too many ideas. We're sticking with the 2 weeks. He's loving it. I think he's going to make his own TikTok account when this is over, she said. Dad has even become popular with his daughter's classmates who regularly check for his Snapchat updates. I mean, he's going all out. He's not just doing Instagram. He's doing TikTok. He's doing Snapchat. Embarrassing Madeline at school is nothing new for Larry, with the commercial construction manager often picking her up dressed as the school mascot, with the music blaring to ensure all eyes are on her, and had no plans to stop. I mean, you know, there's probably a line. Maybe you don't need to embarrass your daughter at every opportunity. Although if she knew this about him, I can't believe she let him take over her social media accounts. I don't know if she was thinking that one through. As the punishment for the sleepover began, the 43-year-old posted a photo of his daughter studying in her bedroom with the caption, "This is Maddie. Maddie got herself grounded." She had a choice of no phone for a month or no phone for 2 weeks, and we have full control over her social media. She chose 2 weeks, so be on the lookout for some amazing Instagram posts, Snapchats, and TikToks from her parents. Yeah, so I have lots of thoughts on parenting techniques that involve like publicly shaming or embarrassing your children. Probably not the podcast for that. And, you know, we're out of time anyway, so I'm not going to hop up on my soapbox. I find this funny on one hand, but also like, oh my Lord, people calm down on the other hand. Anyway, I don't know. I'm sure it's just as polarizing as a horse on a plane. You're either yes, go parents, or you're like, no, stop shaming your children. Yeah. Or you're somewhere in the middle, or you're Maddie and you're horrified. Sorry, Maddie. At any rate, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Weird News Podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, as always, I'm going to do my spiel at the end where I say, like us, follow us on social media, subscribe, give us a nice review. Give us 5 stars even if you're feeling generous and you like this podcast. It really helps us out more than you know. Or maybe you are a 43-year-old dad who has taken over your daughter's social media accounts, and you know how important it is for people to like and follow and subscribe and do all of those wonderful things. So help us out, and hope you're having a wonderful week so far. Join me again for the next episode of the GSMC Weird News Podcast. In the meantime, stay weird.